Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. Yesterday morning, President Trump addressed the United Nations General Assembly, and there were a couple of issues, technical issues that happened during that time, and we're going to talk about those. I'm going to share a couple of notable quotes from that event with you, and then we'll see what the tarot would like us to know about that event. So, first of all, the notable events. The escalator that President Trump and Melania, his wife, were trying to use to ascend up to the assembly area malfunctioned. The Secret Service has started a probe into the incident. I was just very proud that my president is able to, without a blink, go upstairs and has no issues with it. And Melania, of course, did too. So, President Trump even made a joke about it. It's a good thing she was in such good shape. So they handled the incident with grace and humor, but the Secret Service is doing a probe into it. The original explanation by the UN about the event is that a videographer had run up the escalator and tripped some of the safety mechanisms that are in place to keep objects or people from being heard at the top of the escalator. Don't know that I'm buying that. I don't think the Secret Service would be doing a probe into it if they were buying it. I saw a corollary, though, to this. You know, the very last 17 post, as I've mentioned numerous times, has the word ascension in it. And I thought it was very telling that something tried to prevent President Trump with his planned ascension and carrying out what he had planned. And despite that, he went to plan B quite quickly and started climbing the stairs and ascended regardless. So, in other words, no matter what pitfalls seem to be put in this man's place, he's going ahead with his plan, with his vision, and getting her done. And so I saw a little corollary there that I thought I'd share with you. The remarks that I wanted to share, there were numerous ones and probably more than I could work on in one video. But I did like that President Trump, because there was also a teleprompter fail. And I've got a meme on my Twitter page with showing Melania at the assembly with a huge smile on her face, saying, "When you shut down my husband's teleprompter, and I know that this will just let him give an hour longer speech because he has no problem speaking off the cuff and extemporaneously, he does not require a teleprompter." So I thought that was funny. And his remarks in that regard, again, a little humorous. He said, "I ended 7 wars and never received any phone calls from the UN. All I got from the UN was a faulty escalator and a failed teleprompter." And indeed, President Trump has been instrumental in ending 7 very deadly conflicts across this plane of existence in just 7 months, and without getting a lot of fanfare for it that I think he probably deserves. Now, another comment he made, because he was talking about energy and immigration and lots of comments, including some about the ongoing and remaining conflict between Russia and Ukraine. He said not only is the U.S. not UN not solving the problems it should, too often it's actually creating new problems. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. And I thought, wow, talk about some straight talk. Because that an invasion has been ongoing and abetted by the UN for years, not just in the United States, but the UK, notably any country that was not Islamic before seems to be getting an onslaught of immigrants that would love to make it so instead of staying and improving their own country of origin. Okay, now I want to say that because I have some newer viewers and I do talk straight here, but I want to be very clear. My maternal grandparents were legal immigrants to the United States. And so I have no problem with legal immigration, none. And I realize that members in the EU, the European Union, had open borders. So it's not quite the invasion that it is when someone comes to the United States, which is supposed to have an immigration policy that's followed, etc. But regardless, when there is so much influx of cultural change in such a short period of time, there's a there's two outcomes to immigration, and it's either assimilation or annihilation. And when you have a huge influx, there's not so much of a push to get integrated into this society. And so it's sad. Okay, that's a rabbit trail. Wanted you to have a position statement from me. Again, we've got some newer viewers, and I want you to know who I am, what I'm about. And part of what I'm about is getting some insights from the tarot cards, which I use as an intuitive tool, not for channeling purposes as some do with tarot cards, but simply an intuitive aid. So that's why some people say, how can you use a tool like that and reconcile that with your belief system? I have no problem with that. Absolutely none. Because you can just ask for insights and receive them, whether you do that silently or use the tarot cards. And if you know how to use them prayerfully and positively, they're very informative. To that end, I'm going to switch the camera, work with the cards, and we're going to be asking about this event at the United Nations General Assembly. So I will put a yes or no element into the question. And then, as always, we'll leave ourselves up to further insights and information about the event so that we don't limit the scope of what is answered. So let's do that. Without further ado, I'm going to change the camera and you can watch me work with the cards. President Trump has a noted love of the color gold. And so sometimes I pull these gold cards out to use when I have a Trump question. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to ask, was the incident with the failed escalator at the General Assembly yesterday of the United Nations, was that a deliberate sabotage? And then additional insights and information about this event, and what other signals and such might have been in play. Again, for our newer viewers, this may be a little boring for you, but one of the things I do is I never take the cards out of camera view in a video. You see me work with them from start to finish. Okay, so we have the Magician for the situation. We have the Ten of Pentacles for a clarifier. Recent past, we have the Death card. Okay. In the current position, we have the Ten of Wands. The near future, we have the Queen of Wands. Strongest insight card comes from the Eight of Pentacles. And then further information from the Three of Swords. Okay, I'm going to move these a little bit, but again, not out of camera range, just out of my way here. We'll talk about these cards and get a few more to get some layered information in. So far, we don't have a hard yes in the form of an ace, but we do have a Magician card, which talks about making something manifest. So there's intention involved with manifesting. And so I'm thinking that we might get a yes still yet with that. Let's look at other things that the cards are embedding as far as information from us. So the situation was indicated with the Magician card, clarified by the Ten of Pentacles. So in other words, no matter what was trying to be made manifest, it worked out just fine. The Ten of Pentacles is a card of celebration, connections for all ages, etc. So the event actually went as better than they had hoped. Now, the recent past, we have the Death card showing up here. If you're new to tarot or to a reader who uses it as an intuitive aid, but no matter which it is, usually the Death card doesn't signify death as much as it signifies a long, slow change. So there is some changes happening in the activities of the United Nations. I know that there's a lot of alt media chatter about how that building has actually been empty for quite a while, but they still operate as an entity of some sort or another and seem to have some clout. So we examine the situation. But I think that again, I think, as with so many things in our world, it's not quite what it's made out currently to be. And the alt media chatter about how that the United Nations building is pretty much empty most of the time is accurate. Now, we have the Ten of Wands here, the for the current, and I think this is talking about the President Trump's comments about ending the conflict in between the Ukraine and Russia. And he even said that, it could even be done in such a way that the Ukraine doesn't lose any of its pre-existing borders. And so it seems to be a pivot, but I think it's actually a strategy move on the part of President Trump, because there are those that profit from warmongering that really didn't want that, and they loved funneling money into Ukraine and laundering it and bringing it back out. And so ending this would do a number of things. The conflict, if it's ended, for one thing, President Zelensky could no longer remain in office without elections, as he has done long past his original term of office. And so there is some benefit to be had for ending the conflict. It dries up the money laundering. It may be a signal that a lot of the facilities that were used for bio activities, speaking carefully here, are out of the way, and it may be time to officially end this period of conflict, have some elections, and do some rebuilding, and go to a better place for people trying to lead their lives and raise their families. Let's look at the near future. Queen of Wands. She's a straight talker. So again, a nod here to the fact that President Trump laid down some truths when he was doing that his speech. Absolutely. And always with an eye to protecting innocent life. Always. Now, one of the reasons I say that is because if you look at the Queen of Wands card here, you can see there's a little cat at her feet. Cats don't turn their backs to you and sit down beside you unless they feel safe and know that they are not in danger. So just kind of a highlight to that, that I'm a straight talker, even though I don't always do it with tact, and innocent life is of value to me. So those are good messagings to have in relation to President Trump in these remarks. We have the Eight of Pentacles here, saying whatever was talked about in this is only, first of all, President Trump's remarks, his objectives are well thought out, well planned, and only a few of them are being shared with us at this time. There is more to come. So there's places we are going as a nation, as a world, that still have yet to unfold, but these are good changes and good developments. Now, here's our concerning card. We have the Three of Swords. And often the Three of Swords shows up when it's indicating to me not just simply lies or a loss, but also when there's a clone in place. So I would say, even though President Trump did show up at that event with his wife, Melania, that there's a good chance that this was not the original Trump. And I hate to say that because normally the Trump that shows up with Melania is the original. And the red tie also that he had on there is usually a signal for the original, but it may have been because of operational safety or something they had to do a switcheroo, at least for a portion of the event. So I'm going to read it that way as far as what that card is saying to us. Now let's get a couple more cards and see if there's further insights for us. We have the Five of Pentacles. We have the Nine of Pentacles. We have the Two of Cups. And we have the Seven of Pentacles. All of these cards, again, I think we're getting some significant nods to the conflict that was addressed, the Ukraine-Russian ones. First of all, well, they've willingly given up some opportunities for their people, their countries in this conflict. there was a willingness to that suffering. The five indicates a temporary situation, and then the nine of pentacles is about sovereignty. So yeah, it does look like this conflict is going to be ending, and Ukraine is going to probably retain their borders, which is surprising to me. I always thought they would, the region that was right against Russia would end up being realigned into Russian territory, especially because of the persecution that those citizens who speak Russian and identify as Russian, even though they're officially on that Ukrainian border, have suffered terribly. Okay, let's look ahead here again. The Two of Cups agreements coming on. And again, Seven of Pentacles, kind of a more to come type of thing. So it does look like the nod to the escalator being an official sabotage was the Magician card. The fact that it absolutely made no difference was the Ten of Pentacles. The troubling card, the Three of Swords, indicates possibly some doubles in play here, at least for a portion of the event. And the long, slow change and the happening, and the kind of a confirmation of the chatter about the UN building being quite often empty and dark, indicated with the Death card. Let's recap. Yesterday morning, President Trump, accompanied by his wife Melania, addressed the United Nations General Assembly. In the course of that event, a couple of issues happened. One was an escalator that President Trump was trying to use to ascend into the area where he'd be speaking was stopped and halted. And another one was when he started speaking, his teleprompter also stopped. The president handled it with grace and humor. He ascended the steps. He made a couple of wry remarks about the the two kerfuffles, and then his speech began. He did some straight talking, guys. He talked about the conflict in Ukraine, and he talked about climate change, and he talked about uh, the energy and immigration issues, and he didn't pull any punches. The universe was asked for some insights about the event in general, and specifically, was that issue with the, especially with the escalator, deliberate? Now, since that was our yes or no element, the situation was indicated with the Magician card, which says no matter what was planned, it was what was intended. They manifested a successful resolution to it, and actually the event ended up going better than President Trump even hoped. The recent past card, the Death card, which often talks about long, slow changes, seems to be a nod to the kind of a confirmation of some of that alt media chatter that the United Nations building is actually empty most of the time. And things are not quite what they seem over there, as in most places. The end of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine seemed to be what the universe wanted to talk about absolutely the most. We have the Ten of Wands talking about endings and, difficult period coming to an end. We had the Five of Pentacles, which said, even you've willingly foregone things, it's a temporary situation. The Two of Cups came up in the near future, talking about coming to an agreement. And the Seven of Pentacles just had a little more to say, saying, there's even more good things coming. This is only part of what is planned to roll out and changes that will happen. So that's what the universe seemed to want us to know about this speech before the United Nations General Assembly by President Trump on September 23rd, 2025. That's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time, your attention. I know I've got a number of new viewers, and I welcome you to the channel. Make sure you stay subscribed, because sometimes people, without any action on our part, that subscription status can change. I've had people that had to resubscribe numerous times, and it's the price I pay for some of the straight talk I do, and I understand it. But again, you're welcome. I'm glad you're here. Until next time, if you're willing to receive it, I send you love, light, and I wish you everything bright. Bye.